Welcome to another episode of Exes and Babies. Hi, Sydney.
Jeffrey, this isn't Disney. You ain't got to do that.
Like, is this how you guys kick off every
no. The guy with the sweaters.
This guy
Mr. Rogers?
Thank you.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It's
beautiful day
it
for
is.
neighbor. So for this episode, we keep saying special guests, but we really do have special guests here. So
Do you say that to all your guests?
Not really.
Okay, just
We
checking.
have great guests.
Yes,
we have good guests. This is special guests.
All right, guys.
So, for the people who do not know y'all, the rare few, who are you guys?
I know y'all popular.
Yeah, making
Yeah.
moves already.
So I'm Monika Thornton Lawrence and my wife, Keshona Lawrence. And we're from Georgia and by way of living in Seattle now for the last 3 years.
I'm from Trinidad. I lived in Georgia, but I'm from Trinidad.
That's right. Don't forget it. Now
Gotta
y'all
rip
know.
the roots.
Right.
Finish your speech, love. We about to cut up, so
Yo.
And we're here on Exes and Babies to share our parenting story and with these amazing hosts to have a little fun with today. So
absolutely.
Yes,
She said it perfectly.
That's
Minus
right.
the Trinidad.
Minus
part.
the- yeah, y'all can talk about that afterward. Y'all can
Yeah,
talk about that.
we'll talk about that.
So I got a quick question about Trinidad before we get into the.
Let's do it.
Okay, so whose carnival is better? Trinidad, Toronto,
Trinidad.
Okay.
Trinidad.
No, actually, I've heard that. As someone who's not from Trinidad, I've heard that too.
Trinidad.
Yeah.
As someone who is, it's still
I know,
Trinidad.
but you're gonna be biased.
It's not even a question of bias.
Okay.
you have
all
asked
right,
the
cool.
wrong question.
So to anybody
I'm
else who
about
has
to
a
stir
carnival out
trouble
there,
already.
like you could be second best. That's fine. But the originator,
Trinidad.
Trinidad.
Thank
Bet.
you.
All right, Moss play. Okay, cool.
To the bone. Yeah, I see you. What's up, Trini Massive?
Okay, learning a lot.
So I just wanted to. My first question for both of you guys: why are you guys in Washington? In a good way. Why are you guys here?
Yeah, in a good way.
In a good way.
Listen, we are Washington supporters.
That's a first.
The politicians feel like
Yeah, listen, lights, camera, action. No, but we actually moved here for work. So we both worked at T-Mobile at the time, and we got an opportunity to both be able to relocate to the headquarters in Bellevue, Washington. And so that brought us out here, and we came in the month of July, aka during one of the 3 catfish months. So we saw the sun, because the weather. We saw the sun. We saw barely any clouds.
I'm slow. I'm about to
we're
struggle.
in
You're
Seattle
so
watching,
witty.
like,
I'm gonna have to
catfish.
catfish.
No, we had
okay.
indigenous crab. There's no catfish. Go back to the
Catfish.
south. No, it's the catfish months because you're like, I don't understand why everybody complains. It's amazing. And then
Right.
like September, you're like, oh, got it.
Yep. Yeah, we get. That's when we reel it in right
yeah,
there.
yeah, that's
right
when you
there.
catch us. All right.
Right. So is that where you guys met at T-Mobile?
We did meet at T-Mobile.
Met on the
Oh
job.
my
Okay.
God, is that possible? Let me start showing up to the office.
Romance.
So I go to the conference room, just sitting there, like, okay.
I've been working from home, wondering why I'm single. And I'm
I just want the record to show that I was the one being pursued. So
Ooh.
Oh wow.
All right.
Well, that's not why we're here.
It's an origin story.
Okay.
Just a-
It's
an
origin story. We're
yeah.
gonna-
you
Yeah,
gotta
gonna
build
dive
up the
into that.
backstory so
Right.
people fall in love with who we are. Thank you. So
Already
she pursued
done.
me, and it worked out.
And it did
You got
work
good
out.
taste.
I do. We started out as friends. We had a mutual friend.
We
who-
started off not liking each other.
We did. We started off not liking each other. Like,
That's different than friends.
yes, exactly.
Right, I was like, so you're gonna be
I'm
fake
very
for the
honest
TV,
with
okay?
transparency. So I thought she was loud and obnoxious, and we kind of
I see that.
still had to work together.
Can't help myself. Sorry.
We still had to work together.
She was
so.
anti-awesome. I don't know. That's about. I don't
I
know.
like you come with a lot of T-shirt phrases right now.
I know. Hey, this is all being recorded.
They're all patented and copywritten.
Y'all signed a media release or something.
She thought I was loud and obnoxious, but I thought that she was stuck up because I'm hilarious. And so she didn't think I was funny, which I later found out was a lie. But I'm like, who doesn't? So you don't have a sense of humor. Got it. Awesome. Yeah.
All right. So we
Are you done?
Yeah. But you saw what you saw. You like what you
I
like.
did.
Yeah.
We had a mutual friend. The mutual friend and I hung out. So it was only inevitable that we were all hang out at the same time at whenever that came about. So we did, and that's how we got a chance to get to know each other a little bit more. I was with someone, and
Scandalous.
I did release that relationship.
Release it back into the ocean.
There was
a lot of fish
there was a Venn
references.
diagram.
Yo, could somebody write down these phrases?
So-
Release
There was
the
a Venn
relationship,
diagram?
anti-awesomeness?
So I'm a homewrecker.
Oh. But
wasn't a
you've
happy
built, but
home,
you've
but I
built a
wrecked it.
great home.
Yeah. Now we're
You're a home
unwreckable.
builder. Okay.
And from there, we decided to start dating after I released that relationship.
You're such a marketer. Are you a marketer? You're not a marketer. Are you a marketer? Yeah.
not.
You're not? Okay.
So
You
release
released
that
it.
relationship.
It wasn't really, but all right, cool. Yeah, it was a Venn diagram.
Yeah. So
I don't know what to say right now.
we started dating from there, and we honestly just wanted to see where it went. And being that we were in a very unique situation with working together, we couldn't tell anyone about a relationship at first.
Yeah.
So it took us some time to even come out to that we were in a relationship together, to people that were around us outside of our immediate friendships and family.
Yeah. We went social media official on our 1-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Best decision ever.
Yeah.
Nice.
Why?
I feel like, and I can't speak for everybody's story, everybody's journey, but I feel like in the past, when people have too much access to your relationship, that they bring in their opinions, they bring in their prejudices, and so much outside information that it's hard for you to get to know the person that you're dating because you have all these external factors that are shaping your view. I feel like we were very fortunate to shape our own views of each other independent of a lot of that outside noise. And so by the time we went public and people were like, well, I heard this, I'm like, I've heard it all. And I'm very secure in my relationship, so we're unshakable. And I attribute a lot of that foundational work that we did, having the tough conversations, and really getting to know each other almost in like isolation in public. That we were able to have that solid foundation and really feel like, you could say whatever you want,
Right.
but I'm secure in the person that I'm with.
Right. Is there that distinction, because you guys came from Georgia, with the relationship? Is like the whole discrimination thing, is like, how prominent is that in like Georgia?
Oh, well, Atlanta is
Blackity black.
It's very black and it's very queer.
Okay.
So that was not the issue at all. We
Okay.
definitely enjoyed a freedom that we had. It just was at work in our confined spaces, in which years ago, working, dating your partner in Georgia was like frowned upon. When we got here, people found out we were married. It's like, oh, your wife coming to everything, your girlfriend coming to everything. It was like, y'all okay with this?
Yeah.
And they were like, yeah, go talk to Sally down the street. Her husband work here. They've been working here for 8 years. I was like,
Yeah.
what? We've been missing everything.
I just want you said there's no racism in Georgia. So Atlanta is super
Yeah.
black and progressive, but it still exists. I would say the difference between the South and here is that in the South, it's like, here's the Confederate flag hanging in somebody's front yard here. And this is pre George Floyd, 9/11. Everybody has their back to blue flag now. But before, you would see the Confederate flags. You would see the people who were overtly racist. And it wasn't a secret. Like, I knew what I was dealing with when I was dealing with it.
Right.
Here, this is where I learned about microaggressions. And this is where I thought that moving to a blue state, that we would have a different experience because it's blue. And blue must mean anti-racist. And moving here taught me that there is no state that is anti-racist, and the colors don't matter.
This is still America.
It is still America.
America.
I don't want to say it. I was
the
trying to be
U.
politically good, but it's America.
No, you got it.
So because we realized that, we had to learn how to deal and navigate racism in a different way when it's less overt, when you have the sleepers. And I think a lot of us experienced that in COVID, where all of a sudden you see people's true colors as they're starting to share it from the house, on Facebook or on Instagram. And you're just like, wait a second, I thought you were a different person.
Right.
And so it still exists. It exists everywhere. But just how it shows up and how you navigate it was different.
Yeah.
Yep. Seattle, you don't know. Like you said, you don't know what you're
Correct.
dealing with.
Correct.
You might get a little microaggression left and right. You might not get invited to their cookouts,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, I wouldn't.
They're like, I love black people,
go.
but they'll never invite you to their home, right? So
Need to make
I
sure
grew up
it's
here, so yeah, fun. It's fun stuff. But there's also really good stuff too, though, right?
It is really
there
good
is good
stuff
stuff
there.
too.
And the thing I would, before I
Yeah, go ahead,
with
go ahead.
Sydney, Sydney always tries to keep me informed about the things she has to go through on a constant basis at corporate America.
Oh, my
Because I don't deal with it because I'm a big ass black dude, so nobody really says things to me. But when I'm about homegirls, it was like, I'm like, what are y'all talking about? But it's like, oh, that stuff really exists. It's just cowards saying it to y'all because I feel like y'all ain't
Cowards.
gonna do nothing.
Correct.
So
Exactly.
that's why I appreciate conversations like this because at least it keeps me aware.
Yeah.
Since I'm raising a black daughter too, so I know what to look out for.
They tell us we're aggressive or we are the angry black woman, or they, why are you so passionate about that?
Gaslighting.
The first experience I had, and I'm not. I honestly I got a lot of jokes, but I'm not Washington bashing. It's just a sign of the difference. The first experience I had when we first moved here of like the microaggression is we rented a house sight unseen. We had to do it from Georgia, and so I flew up ahead of my wife, and I came with my best friend to get the keys. And check out the place. And so the landlord, a white woman, was making conversation, and she's trying to sell me on Washington as if like I'm here, like there's no need to sell me. And she says, another great thing about Washington is that we don't have any roaches. And so, like, in that moment, you have to, like, go through the Rolodex of questions that you have. Like, why would you tell me that? Do you think Georgia has roaches? Do you think black people have roaches? And so I kind of looked puzzled, and my best friend was like, I don't know about this. And then she doubles down and says, yeah, because if you're here and you see a roach, chances are you brought it. And she said it so jokingly, so flippantly, like, haha, I'm just trying to connect with you.
She really helped you understand really where she was coming from.
Oh, yeah.
Because the first statement, I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I've heard that about when you leave Washington. First of all, I will say people do have roaches in Washington.
I would say that's a lie. There's roaches in Washington. Yes,
there are roaches. I've never seen one. Okay, in Washington.
Yeah.
However, I know people who've grown up in like impoverished homes and stuff like that. There'll be roaches, but when you share the double down part,
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of weird.
And that's what microaggressions
so
are. You have
awkward.
to ask yourself, like, is this really, how did they mean this? Should I be offended or should I not? And you have to kind of navigate that in your mind. And then like you almost can't react because you don't know how to react until you get a moment to step away and process it. And then you're like, oh, yeah, now I'm angry.
And it's that's a special, because the fact that you did all that work to figure out like what's she trying to say,
Right.
like that's a lot of being in Seattle. You're like, wait a second now, you said, oh, my hair looks so different today. Like, what do you mean by that? Yeah, anyways,
like,
right?
If only I could go back and say these
Right,
words.
that's how
exactly.
it's the mind fuck.
You know what? I thought about it. Fam,
Exactly.
Yo, so many times I'm like, oh, you said go back to Garfield. Like I was told that in high school when I was at a private school. Some white boy under his breath, because he didn't have the courage to say it to my face, was like, why don't you just go back to Garfield? Never been to Garfield.
Yeah.
Like was never a student there. And so, yeah. Good times.
See?
And then you got, okay, well, y'all, come on now.
Right.
Exes and
But I will
bases.
say, I was thinking about like
Yeah.
how one of our presidents was like telling those, congresswomen, go back to your countries. And I was like, oh my God, I see the link. This is how it starts.
Oh my.
They tell you to go back to the public school with the black kids and white kids.
Correct.
But like now, anyway, so yeah, Seattle has its own way
Yes.
of showing its ass.
Exes and babies, everybody.
babies.
Exes and babies,
Let's talk
co-parenting.
about these babies. one
Let's
time.
talk about these babies.
So, when you first got together, you knew that she had kids.
I did.
You did.
Did you? Oh, okay, all right, cool.
I
cool.
did. They were on her desk, so
Aw,
I knew.
little
But
baby.
funny story is, my wife, like, easing you into something that's not one of her God-given talents. So we were very
all out there.
we were very new. I don't even know if it would constitute as dating. I think we were just kicking it. And
Okay.
her sister was like, hey, I'm moving a bunch of stuff. I need some help. And so, trying to be her knight in shining armor, I was like, we can rent a U-Haul. I'll help you. We'll drive to your sister, load up the truck. We can do it. I got you.
Okay, player voice.
Yeah,
Okay. I got you.
listen. Y'all gotta lock it down. So we help the sister out and get to Mo's house. And she runs in the house. I guess she has to use the restroom or whatever. She runs in the house, and I'm guessing the conversation was, "Hey, go outside and help." Like, so she tells the kids it's dark, and 4 kids walk out, and so I'm like, it was only 2 on the desk, and I had
Those are her
mentally
favorite
prepared.
2.
I mentally prepared myself for 2. This double that. So what's going on? And I'm trying to see who I recognize from the picture, but it's dark. So
You done a lot of work.
So I don't know who I'm talking to, and like they're walking outside like, and who is this? And so it was very awkward. And I'm like, hi, I'm Keshona, like very rigid and robotic. They're like, yeah, whatever. Like, kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. And so we like navigated that weirdness only to walk inside. And Mo's like, oh, Keshona, meet my kids, Ari and Christian, and this is my niece and nephew. And I'm like, context is important. You should have gave me that a little while ago.
Like, okay,
You just kind of sent me out here.
That was a test.
Yeah.
That was a test.
Yeah,
you passed.
it was a test for kids. I was sweating a little bit.
I love it. So with we always talk about, how you meet the other new parent, right? Or new co-parent or what have you. Was there some intentionality to that, or how did you think about introducing your children? Or did you even know that this was going to be your partner / wife?
I didn't know. We had a really, really great connection, and we had an opportunity to enjoy a lot of time together because we worked together. Okay. So our relationship kind of like exploded with like the time and the energy and just being able to kind of like enjoy the time we had. And my kids were big, so they were not little. Right. So it wasn't that they needed that to me to be there 24/7. They had the kind of things that they were doing, sports and other things like that. So my kids, me being intentional about meeting her was not a priority for me, because I was like, I'm not sure if this is going to be something we're going to follow through with. So let me just ease them into it, and if they meet one day, cool. If not, okay, not. But like she said, I threw her in head first and was like, swim and see what happens.
There's a real test, ninja. So but you're asking about the parents.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, yeah. Let's get there too. But I mean, like, your children meeting Keshona.
No, it was not. There was no strategy behind that.
Okay.
No.
So did you know you're gonna meet kids that day?
I mean, I assumed that I was bringing, like, the U-Haul was pulling up to the house, that we may have an interaction. But I was like, I don't know if she wants to say, this is my coworker, this is my friend, something. I was ready to play whatever role I needed to play.
But you knew you were going to meet them.
I was expecting an introduction.
Versus like,
right. I'm like, I don't even know who your kids are. So like, it was definitely a unique experience. We laugh about it now, but I was kind of like deer in headlights in the moment.
Yeah.
But
that's so black as hell.
It is.
That's hella black.
It is.
Thank you for calling a spade a spade.
Like,
oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this is no. It's like, go out there, help my friend.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Black as hell.
Now. Our son, so the kids were 13 and 7 at the time. Our son was just like, la person, whatever.
Right.
Our daughter, she was like, I see what's happening here. So a little backstory. This is my wife's first like homosexual relationship.
Okay.
So
like relationship. Okay.
Separate from relations. So relationship. Okay. And this is safe space.
Keep it coming. This is great.
So it like there was a period of her like coming out to people, but our daughter was just like, I see you.
Like I already knew.
I see what's happening here. U-Haul.
Oh snap!
Sure
that is a reference.
Hers?
Yeah. That's an inside joke.
So I'm curious about that.
You get it. Yeah. Only the lesbians will get that joke.
Yeah. So I'm curious about that. So this is your first.
Yeah.
This is your first and last.
Yes.
First and last.
So when did you know? Like, wait a minute. There's something different about this one, because like, wait a minute, hold on now.
We truly were like best friends. Like we once we traveled together for the first time, knew that we were travel compatible. We had fun together. We could do like the most basic things and have such a good time together. I was like, dang, I don't really like her, but she, And then we would like, she would talk and we have really deep conversations. Like she, as you can see, she loved to talk. And at the time, she was asking these really like personal questions. I was like, hold on, why are you asking me? Well, who sent you? Who sent you into my life?
God.
It was Jesus.
It was Jesus. Yeah. Baby, I believe that.
She fasted from me for a week.
I did fast from her. Okay.
I'm clear.
Y'all need that little private talk?
She gave me authorization before the recording started that I could speak my truth. Here I am.
Yeah. So I did. I was like, hey, let's just spend about a week away from each other to see, like,
while working together.
Yeah. Like, just make sure that we're not rushing into something. Make sure it isn't like real cute and then it's going to turn real bad.
Infatuation.
Infatuation. Let all the pressures get it, like trying to be cute, trying to be everything that you want, you think this person wants you to be. So I'm just like
falling for the representative.
Falling for the representative. So let me just take a week to get back into my routine, process, let you get back into your routine. And if we miss each other, and if it's still like the same feeling, after this time frame, what's up? So
it wasn't a moment. It was just like this time of just keep spending time together.
Correct.
And he was like, wait a minute. This feels weird.
Yeah.
Like, this feels like love.
Weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great weird.
Great weird.
It was a safe space. I felt safe. I felt protected. I felt like my words were heard. And she is a very true observer. Like, she will talk and laugh, but she's like observing you. She's observing your mannerisms. She observing things around you to make sure and understand who you are. And she asks those questions to get an understanding of who you are. And if she wants to know more about you and she cares about you, she's going to talk and ask you. And that's her love language. So for me, I was like, she's getting to know me. I'm telling her, and I'm like, not holding back, but I'm also like, I don't know how much I should trust you with this stuff, because you don't trust everybody with the deepest parts of yourself.
Right. You don't
So
need to.
for me, it was she's getting to know who I am, and she's getting to know who I am outside the representative I portray at work.
Right.
Just because that's not, we don't go to work to let it all hang out.
Right.
So that was what I appreciated about her. And going forward, and I was like, am I willing to put my, truly put my family on the line for this relationship? Because I had never been there. How would my other family members embrace her? How would her family embrace me? What does that look like for my kids? Is my kids gonna feel weird about saying that, my mom is dating a woman? So all those things came into play, but when I truly thought about it, I was like, this is my life. My kids, as long as she treats my kids well, my kids feel protected, my kids feel safe, I feel safe and protected. They love her, I love her. Everything else can just fall into place or don't. And let's see where it goes.
And you correct me if it was before marriage or after marriage, but her best friend, when they were in the car with somebody else, and I think the person asked hey, how did you know Keshona was the one, or whatever, something along those lines. And that was the third person. The best friend says, it wouldn't have mattered if Keshona were male or female. This is Monika's person. And that in any life, and in any realm or whatever universe, that we were meant to be together. And that's literally how I feel about her. Like, this is my best friend. And till death do us part. Like, I tell her all the time, like, we're riding this thing till the wheels fall off. And even after then, we walking.
Oh, yo, this is like,
we gotta do a phrase count of the bars from both of these guys.
this is so beautiful, like hearing your love story. And I mean, I'm like a big fan. Like, the first time I met y'all was with Michelle and Victoria, and I remember Michelle was like, "You're not trying to steal my friends, are you?" Like, because I was like, "I absolutely am," because it's you can feel it, you can feel your connection. You guys are great people, and then to see you in other spaces where I wasn't expecting to see you, so I met you guys again at my child's father, baby daddy's baby shower. I was like, what are y'all doing here? Like, it was kind of weird though. Like, y'all just be popping up in places, but it was a sign. It's a sign.
That's a sign.
So I took a photo, of course, and sent it to Michelle to make her jealous. But anyways, she's like, not you trying to take my friends. I was like, me taking your friends. This is what it looks like. But I'm so glad you guys are on the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And of course, because you guys are so interesting and lovely, like I learning more about your story, I'm excited to talk more about, how there's two fathers, right?
Yes.
How was that dynamic of them meeting Keshona, or did they, or like, how has that co-parenting dynamic been?
So back to me not just throwing people in head first. I'm like, meet my girlfriend. She's amazing. She's gonna be here, and they're like, cool. And I will say, I have never had anyone, as far as their fathers, like, come at her wrong, disrespect her. They have shown her really like some of the best respect I've ever seen. And every time she's met them, I know. Yeah. She met my son's father before she's met my daughter's father in person, just because of where they live, and traveling and stuff. This year, when my daughter graduated, her father and his family flew here, and they were able to meet for the first time in person.
Oh, wow.
Just a few, like in June.
Yep.
And literally, they had an amazing time. Like,
Awesome.
they came to the house, we cooked out, he stood outside while she cooked on the grill. They chit-chatted, we all drank, our families had fun together, we played games together, and he texted me the next day and was like, this is one of the best times I had in my life. So,
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was super, like, he came to pick up our daughter and to take her, like, they were visiting Seattle, so he's like, yeah, we'll pick her up and we'll go do touristy things. And they got there, and, you know, I was starting to cook, and you know, they're like, all right, we'll just stay for one drink. All right, we'll just stay for two drinks.
Okay.
Next thing I know, I'm outside on the grill, and I was by myself while everyone was inside cooking. And he comes out there, and it's just me and him. And, you know, I didn't know what to expect. We had talked on the phone, but you just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, you're entrusting me to play an important role in your child's life, and you just never know. And so we stood out there and we talked, and it was like I'd known this man forever, you know, and it was like instant connection. Like, this is family. And so I was just like, he is a really, really cool guy, and I'm so glad that, you know, we've had like family conferences if there was a situation with Ariana, but never like, hey, like, tell me about you, you know, and let me tell you about me. And that was just really an amazing experience.
Wow. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's beautiful. How do you manage, like, the parenting of your children, right? Like, when there are things to discuss, like there are some issues or scheduling or anything, when there's, you know, when you're across state lines, all that, there's so many layers.
So my biggest thing is making sure every parent communicates and that we talk. If there's something that go on with each child, we're like, hey, we talk about it, then let's talk about it with their dad. Let's communicate and make sure they understand exactly what's going on.
Right.
So everybody gets to know, in the know. And if they like, hey, well, you know, you let me know how you want to handle it. Or like, hey, I think we should get your perspective from a man's perspective. What should we do? And we bring everybody in so that everybody is a part of the process. Everybody's a part of the solution, and that we all are on one accord.
Right.
Because I don't want anybody, her included, to feel like we have not gotten everybody's like, you know, understanding and their buy-in on what's going on. So if there's something, hey, daughter's acting up, we need to talk. Let's all have a conference together. She's in the room. We're on the phone because they stay in Georgia.
Right.
And let's make things happen. Everybody's talking. Everybody's communicating. And it's not a bash session. We want her to hear from her father because every child needs their father. We want her to hear from us because you live with us. And even from across the phone, hey, respect your mama. Respect your bonus mom. Make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to do. And let's all come to a solution and, you know, get back on the straight and narrow. So when it comes to disciplining, when it comes to parenting, we all play a part. I'm not there 24/7. She's with with the kids a lot. And when I'm not there, she's like, you wouldn't do this if your mama was here, so let's get it together. And she leads and communicates. For me, I'm the disciplinarian. I'm like, get it together. And they're like,
Y'all saw that black mama face, right?
Yeah, I did. I felt a little triggered. Yeah. I was like,
You both were like, oh,
let me sit up straight,
Getting it together.
cross my legs.
right.
I'm sorry.
But she's such a great communicator. Like, she can talk to them and they are like, yes. Or like, even if they don't, the way she, communicates with them is like, hey, accountability, respect, and solutions. Let's make it happen.
Let's
and
go.
That's something that she has always had as like one of the best parts into her parenting. She don't come in hot and try to like control them, nothing. She's like, I am here to help guide you. I am a parent, and that's what I'm here to do, is help guide you in the best way possible. And she leads with that.
I have so many questions. Okay,
No,
this is great.
I'm thinking for like you, right? Because you go into this situation, go in this relationship with a partner that has kids from previous relationships. What did you have to do to get mentally prepared for that? Like, okay, this is possibly my new life. So, what did you do?
There's nothing to prepare. There's no way to prepare.
Okay,
And I think it's probably the route is different, right? But the situation is the same. You could read as many parenting books as you want, but when you become a parent, whether it's a biological parent or a bonus parent, like, this child is a human. There's no book that could predict that. There's no classes you can take. And so, for me, when we got serious, I think on both sides of our friends and family, people were like, Keshona is an only child, and she has no kids, and like, you guys are gonna be all right with her 2 kids. And you know, they didn't have a lot of faith in that moment that, you know, that I would be able to rise to the challenge. But I would first, like, genuinely give all glory to God for one, like, the foundation that my wife laid with raising these kids. These were 2 amazing humans, to the point where, like, I was like, yeah, like, I think I love all kids, because if these 2 are so great, then, like, it must be all of them.
That's a trap.
That's a scam.
Then I started hanging around with other kids, and I was like, these 2, these are the ones.
I'm gonna go back.
I'll stick with these. I'll stick with
I'm
these.
headed home. So it was a really great situation to walk into, and then just being, like, really prayerful about the decisions that I made. I remember we moved to Washington, and, you know, just backstory, my wife and I did not live together until we moved to the state of Washington. So we were together, we were dating, but we lived separately. And we were talking about moving in together anyway. It just so happens that the job offer came. And so we moved 30 days before the kids came. And so I'd been around the kids, you know, like, spent the night a couple nights, you know, 3 days of parenting, and I'm out.
Get
Like,
toes wet.
listen. So the first 30 days, I was like, all right, well, we're meshing really well, you know, cohabitating, and, like, this is going good. So she goes to pick up the kids. I stay behind to, like, you know, make sure the house is together, and, like, cook dinner and stuff like that. And I remember having a buddy of mine come over, and I was, like, freaking out a little bit, because I was like, the moment's here. It's do or die. Like, at the end of the day, these kids will be here, and they'll be in my life for forever. And it wasn't scary because I wanted to run as if, you know, I don't want to do this. It was scary because I play a part in who they become. And the weight and the magnitude of that responsibility was daunting. And it's like, I just want to do a great job. And so, you know, I think, like, them walking in the house, it's like, I would imagine the way, like, a football player feels when they run out on the field. It's go time. And so having my wife be as supportive and patient and understanding sometimes as she, you know, Capricorn. But seriously, like, her being so patient, and, you know, me having a safe space to ask questions, I took the approach of telling my kids up front, I've never done this before. I won't always get it right. My intentions will always be in the right place, but I want to create a situation where you guys always feel comfortable. It'll be dual respect. I'll respect you, you respect me, but let me know if I could do something better.
Wow.
Let me know how I can support you better. And that's a difficult thing to ask for, because having children telling you, like, hey, that triggered me, or I didn't like that, or, you know, I don't like the way you said this, or how you asked me to do that, that can, like, cause your ego to flare up. Right. You know, and want to be defensive, but it really requires a lot of humility to say, okay, you know, thank you for opening up. Thank you for trusting me with that information. Let's create a plan so we could go forward. I know that in my professional life, in our relationship, in every aspect, communication has been the thing that I'm really great at. And so I decided to go into parenting using that same strength to my benefit.
Damn. Y'all listen to this? This is great. Oh my God. Oh my God.
So, so silly. Bro.
I'm just like, keep going. Like, this is.
So, where did you go for help, Key? Like, where did you go for help? Like who'd you go to? Like, okay, I need some help. I need some advice. What am I supposed to do right now?
It takes a village.
There you go.
I'm really fortunate in that my family dynamic is I was raised by my dad, my bonus mom, and my biological mother. And my biological mother lives in Trinidad. And so, again, repping Trinidad. And my father and bonus mom live in Georgia. And so I moved from Trinidad to Georgia. And so the full-time, if you will, I hate to put it like that, but the live-in parents, it was a dad and a bonus mom. So being able to call her was like my first source of trying to understand, because she understands the role that I play. And I will say that there is, as you get older, you look at your parents and look at some of the situations that happen, and you have sympathy for how they navigated situations and how they raised you, how they disciplined you. But it's not until you become a parent that you have empathy for the decisions that they made and how they raised you. And so, you know, being able to reach out to her sometimes and saying, like, I call my mom probably like every week for like 6 months, like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I get it. I'm sorry. Because I had a unique perspective of some of the things that she went through. And that's not to say that the kids did anything bad or egregious. It's just, I just understood things differently.
Yeah.
And so she was the first person having, you know, my friend group that I'm really close to, whether they have kids or not, just having a space to be able to get my thoughts out. I'm an external processor, so being able to talk through things. And then obviously having a really supportive and amazing wife or girlfriend at the time that I could be like, hey, I'm not sure about this. Tell me your thoughts. And she never made me feel like I was inadequate because I didn't have all the answers. She made me feel very comfortable being able to say, I just don't know what to do here. Help me out. And then, you know, us working together to come up with a solution.
Nice.
That's beautiful. Like, and I love that you're able to lean on or like have new perspective. So, you know, kind of maybe even, I don't know, I'm throwing a word out there, strengthens, I don't know, your relationship with your bonus mom. I don't know. But
That's my homie. I love her.
okay, bet. All right, cool. I'm, you know, taking leaps there. But what was I gonna say? So, you know, how did you invite Key into the parenting world? Like, did you say, all right, I trust you, go for it? Or was there some kind of things where like before you're like, I'm handling all of this, but now, okay, you can have a little bit of this to handle as a parent? Like, how did you work that out?
I'm gonna say it's a combination of that.
Okay.
Different situations. She was like, the kids did this, and I'm like, they're kids, babe. They're gonna do kid things. Anything else we got to talk about? And then she was like, your son said this. And I'm like, how did you handle it? And she told me what she. I'm like, well, that was good. Or, you know, what did it make him feel like? And she was like, well, he seemed okay. I said, well, did you follow up? I'm gonna go do that. So, you know, so it was a little bit of both. I would say that she, certain things I just was like a child riding a bike. You're gonna have to fall off a couple of times to get back up. So that was her way, my way of saying, okay, you got to learn your way through this. I didn't, you know, I wasn't born a mom. I had to learn how to be a mom. And I said, it took me years to get it. And it takes, I always tell her, it takes a village. I said, my grandma, my mama, my aunties, my uncles, everybody helps raise, you know, the child when they're in the family. And that's what's helped me. So same way here. You're going to fall. You're going to hurt some feelings. But remember just to follow up with love. I said, always follow up with love. And from there, that's the only thing that we should have to worry about. As long as they feel loved at the end of the conversation, they feel supported at the end of the conversation, we can have these talks. And they need discipline. I can't take that away from you. And if I'm not there, I'm trusting that you will discipline them with love and with respect. So.
What does discipline look like for y'all? Did you agree on it from the beginning?
I grew up in a whooping home. You're going to get whooped, spanked, switch, all that good stuff.
Yep. Same.
Switch yourself.
And essentially, that's how I tried to raise my kids. But you know, that kind of teetered off as they got older. And I was like, I can't be whooping. My son is 5 something. I can't be whooping these kids.
Yeah, say 5'10".
5'10" at 12 years old. You said that.
12.
Yeah. But she was like, I think we can talk to them. I was like, what?
And to be clear, I came from a whipping home too.
Yeah.
Said, I don't want that for the kids.
And I mean, so like, I think it's healthy to talk about the fact that like every decision is not like, well, what do you want to do? Well, what do you want to do?
Right.
Okay, let's do it. No, not like the Disney opening that you gave us.
Dang. Oh, you got a good memory. Okay.
So, I do. You know, I think there have been like moments where it was sandpaper. You know, I'm like, I feel like this, you know, it's interesting because when it comes to the 2 kids, my wife tends to be tougher on our daughter and more lenient with our son. And I tend to be tougher with our son and more lenient with our daughter.
Is it to compensate for what you're observing?
So it is, honestly. And it's not just because of how like the dynamic with her and the kids, but you know, when especially when we all started living together, I'm like, so Christian has no responsibilities? he don't have to do anything. You do everything for him. She was like on the brink of like still cutting up his food and feeding it to him. And I'm like, how will he become a man? And then like, I feel like Ari, you'd be like, and you can't run a successful household at 13. And
It wasn't like, okay.
I'm being dramatic, but it makes for a good story. But the fact still remains that it was like an over index. And then I saw like how everybody in the family like babied Christian. And so he really like walked in every room. Like I be feeling like the man when I walk through, you know? And I'm like, this is not right. Like he needs to have like love and guidance. And you think about the Black community where there is like a tougher stipulations and tougher governance on our daughters than there are on our males. And not to say that there's something wrong with that if you strike a good balance. But if you don't check it, you can run into situations where you have like some of these guys out here that don't have life skills. And so, you know, I said, well, no, he's got to, if you're going to be in this house, and he was tall from the moment I met him. I'm like, you're not about to be in this house 6'3" and taller than everybody else in here. You think you're running stuff, but you ain't capable of your life skills. That's not going to work. And so it was to compensate. And, you know, I think that once you rub through the sandpaper, it becomes a good balance for us. But I don't want to sit here and make it seem like, oh yeah, everything's great. We always agree on decisions for the kids.
Yeah, we don't want that on
That's
this. Our audience don't like that.
No, I mean,
they don't believe that stuff.
I'm too real for that.
Right.
You know
That's
what I'm
why
saying?
you're here. That's why we know.
We definitely have had conversations, and the way that we disagree, it's not even like super dramatic. It's just like, you know, she'll say like, I think you were a little too harsh on Christian. And I'm like, well, I don't think so. You know, and we'll both say our piece. And if we still not feeling some type of way, again, I'm an external processor. I'm like, we're going to talk about this till it's right. My wife is like, I need a process. Shut it down.
Right.
And so now it's the silent treatment until we get to a place where like we can talk through it, you know, and with our daughter, I'll say, hey, I think you were a little too harsh. Like, I don't think that, you know, the punishment fit the crime, if you will. And then, you know, she's like, it can be weird saying that as a bonus parent, like, you know,
right.
I don't think the way you discipline your biological child,
right.
But feeling emboldened that our relationship is safe enough that I could say that, and then you could have an attitude about it, but eventually you can come back and we can talk about it. Mm-hmm. And I mean, like, we've even one time, I think you and Ariana had a little tussle, a little verbal tussle, no physical, verbal tussle.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no.
We'll be cutting this out. No, I'm just kidding. I'll be ready. I'll be like, yep, cut. Let's get it.
No.
Okay,
Yeah, no. Just
go ahead.
a verbal tussle.
No, I get it.
And you know, Christian and I were out, like probably taking him to basketball practice. And we came home, and I was like, the titch is a little thick in here.
Okay.
So I had to get both sides of the story and figure out what happened. And as I'm hearing the two sides of the story, I'm like, okay, all right. Like, I think you both said some things that probably weren't warranted. Right. But you guys are like big mad. And I think this was like 2 weeks before we were going on our family trip to Paris. And so I was like, yo, like, don't ruin this trip for me and Chris.
So we're not going to do it.
We didn't deserve this.
Right.
So y'all going to have to fix this. So I literally, and I'm a huge mental health advocate, so I go to therapy. And so I took it to therapy, and I was like, I don't know how to navigate this one, therapist.
Yes.
How can I help my wife and my daughter be okay on this issue? Because they were both so passionate about their viewpoints. And my therapist gave me like, you know, here's some talking points. Here's how you could have the conversation. And so I literally
came with a notepad.
I had questions written down, and I said,
it.
wait, and how did that make you feel? And how did that make you feel? And it elements, and it was like simple things. Like my therapist was like, sit on the floor so that you guys can, like, everybody can feel really grounded. I know. So people can feel grounded, and that nobody feels like they're higher than the other person. You know, like she said, if everyone's sitting in a chair, let everyone sit in a chair, but try sitting on the ground because it's grounding. And so I was like, let's all sit on the floor. You should see the looks that I got. Like,
you should see the looks right here. Oh, wow.
Yeah, but everybody gave me looks right now in this room. But I was like, we're gonna try what my therapist said, and let's see what happens. And it worked. And I think that, you know, coming into the conversation, like it was sandpaper. But like lowering the defenses and saying, hey, I really want to give this conversation a try, worked. And I'm not saying that like, yay, I solved the problem. It was my therapist that had a great formula, and it felt uncomfortable for all three of us. But we had to push past that moment of being uncomfortable so that we could ultimately get to a solution. And, you know, like the issue was resolved.
And I want to, therapist, dope. Yeah. But you invested your time to go learn something so you could add value to the family. So, like, shout out to you too.
If things get tight, you guys sit on the ground and talk about it?
That was one time.
She's not trying to sit on the ground, but it worked at the time.
It worked.
Put that on the menu now. All right, y'all tripping.
And I think it has to truly get to that point.
Mm-hmm. We haven't had any situations like that. And the only reason, like, her and Ariana bump heads because they are so much alike. Mm-hmm. And so that's what it is. The same personality, you know, like, I'm not backing down. I'm not either. And so, like, you know, I think that attributed to it, and just having like a neutral party that's there to be like, hold on, because you guys are talking at each other, not talking to each other, and helping that. And Christian and I, he's not my biological son, but we have a lot of similarities. And so, and I see a lot of myself as a kid in him. And so Mo has to be like, hey, this wasn't that serious. And I'm like, yes, it is. Right. So that's where the balance comes in. But I wanted to make sure I called out that just because we're happy and what we're doing is working does not mean that the moments are easy and that you don't have to put in that work.
Right.
So that reminds me, because I don't know when this episode's coming out, but we had a mental health therapist say that some of the tips that she suggests for her clients is putting their hands underneath their seats.
I've heard that before.
Yeah. So I'm saying sitting on the ground, grounding, and putting your hands on your seats. So there's different mechanisms that you can use,
like and they're all physical.
Yeah. We, you know, express ourselves. So.
Correct.
That's really dope.
And your body language can be triggering to somebody else. So, you know, if I like to talk with my hands, as I am currently doing. You talk with your hands, and if you're in a place where you're upset and you're frustrated, and that person is also upset and frustrated, how you portray yourself or how they portray your body language could further escalate the situation.
Right.
That's real. Did you have something you want to share?
Oh, no, I was just going to agree with her, because my daughter always felt like if I'm talking to her and I'm moving my head and I'm like projecting, that, you know, it was triggering to her. And I didn't notice that, because growing up in a whipping house, that's what I saw. So I had to always become a lot more self-aware of how I talked to her, how I spoke to her, because I was like, I had to think about how she was receiving it. If she was receiving it like, mama's always going off on me, I didn't want her to have that narrative every single time we had a disagreement. So I had to kind of check myself in the moment and say, okay, let me listen first, and then allow her to speak and say what she needed to say, and then I speak. Yeah.
Even the way you're saying that right now, I appreciate it. It's like it's a work in progress vibe.
It's work.
Okay. I hear you.
It's a daily work.
Yes. Keeps us humble.
Yes, in the name.
Now I want to pivot a little bit to your work. Did you say in the past you've worked with domestic violence families who are dealing with domestic violence?
So I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I have a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting individuals who have experienced traumatic relationships, abuse physically, mentally, emotionally, and financially.
Wow.
Yeah, and that business is called
Powerful Beginnings.
Powerful Beginnings. Oh, tell us about that title. That sounds important.
So anytime you leave a relationship that has been traumatic, abusive, you're having to start over in so many ways. You're starting over mentally, you're starting over financially, emotionally, physically, all of that. And it starts from you making a decision to either leave or someone supporting you enough to leave that relationship. Preferably, you've got out of there with yourself and your, your mental intact, and with your life.
Right.
So for me, a powerful beginning starts when you leave that relationship. And we, the organization, we assist once you made the decision to leave that relationship. And that's when we step in. Not when you're unsure, because we know for sure you're going to go back. Not when you say, I'm ready, but I just want to, or, they love me. No, when you're ready, that's when we step in. So powerful beginnings is when you make that decision to leave. And that's a powerful beginning, because you could be starting from ground zero. And I started from ground zero with nothing but the clothes on my back. Got it. And it made me stronger, but it also showed me that there's many women out here and men who are going through abuse and suffering because they don't know how to get out. They don't have the resources to get out. They don't have the support, and they've made a decision to stay because it's convenient and it's comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. That's really powerful.
No problem. Thank you.
How long have you been doing that for?
Go ahead.
Since 2016.
2016.
Yeah, I'm a survivor, a 4-year survivor, and once I finally left the relationship and kind of found my footing again, I wanted to help women. And I shared my story on Facebook to just put it out there. And I believe there is healing and there is transparency when you tell your story. Mm-hmm. And I believe that you impact others when you tell your story. So I told my story in a way in which I couldn't take it back. I had to put it out there. And once I did, I had so many women inbox me and reach out and say, oh my God, I went through this, I'm going through this, or I would love to hear more. And it wasn't just one or two, it was a lot. Mm-hmm. And I was able to say, Lord, if this is where I need to be, this is the avenue I need to take, make provisions and make a way. And 2016 was the birth of Powerful Beginnings.
Mm-hmm. That is a powerful story.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. So that's what made you decide to make it into like an organization, a movement versus just being an advocate, because everybody just kept coming to you?
Yeah, and because I think that when we think of domestic violence survivors and people who have been in traumatic relationships, we think, oh, put them in shelter, give them some food, give them an outfit, and they're good to go. But where are they going right back after that shelter? Because it's inconvenient. They don't want to put their children through a shelter. Mm-hmm. They're putting them back into the hands of that aggressor or that traumatic relationship because they depended on that for money, for their health, for pretty much everything. Mm-hmm. So Powerful Beginnings is a way to say there is a life after an abusive relation. There is life after trauma, and not just regular life, like a brilliant life, a beautiful life. You can thrive. And it turns into, hey, if I have to show other people that that's possible, let me do that. And I've seen women like lose everything. I've met women walking with nothing but a bag in their hand because they don't want to go back to that relationship. And it's a way for us to build the relationships in the community and show, hey, they're not just somebody you can put in a shelter. This is a woman who was making $1 million, and she now has lost it all because she can't go to work because her face is battered. And she can't go to work because she has bruises everywhere, and she doesn't want her clients to see her going through there. How do we help $1 million woman? It now starts with, she has the money and the resources. We got to help her get her mental back right. We have to help her get her attire back right, help her want to look beautiful again, help her to trust people, men again. Mm-hmm. What does that look like for just everybody's situation is different. Not every survivor or individual who's been impacted will look the same. Mm-hmm. And it means us helping to create solutions for them on their own and where they meet, where we can meet them at. So, we help them where we meet them at.
That's powerful. Ooh, on that topic. Okay, did y'all watch Ultimatum?
Yes.
Okay.
That's a show.
I enjoyed. Okay. It's on Netflix. Okay, watch it.
Okay. Get caught up.
Yeah, okay, just between us now. Yeah, I'm just kidding. No, but there's the Queer Ultimatum that was on Netflix, and I indulged. I loved it. Yeah. Excuse me, but the season finale just hurt. Like it made me feel sad, and I was like, why did it was
abusive.
Okay, so yeah. Was there something you saw in that? So there was a couple that. So sorry, I'll give you a chance. Sorry. And for those who don't watch Ultimatum, essentially I'll make it quick. But it's a reality TV show, and it's for couples who are getting to the point where someone wants to be married, and they give them an ultimatum. Yeah, they give them an ultimatum. So they go onto the show because somehow that's going to make their relationship better. Anyways, but yeah, the writers know what they're doing. Anyways, but so anyways, these couples go on and they get to try out other relationships. They get trial wives. To see if maybe they get some new perspective by being with a new energy. I mean, it's interesting. I don't hate it. Anyways, but
your face.
Yeah, but we get to see these folks. We get to see some of their what looks like it's TV. So
yeah,
it's TV, so you can't trust everything, right? But anyways, I said to say there's a couple on there that they've clearly got something going on. There's some trauma there, what have you. But that last season or the last show, the reunion, I don't even know what happened. So knowing what you know about domestic violence, I'm looking at them like there's clearly some domestic violence. There's some police reports in there and some craziness. What was your take on that?
I truly felt like, and I can't remember the names. I know you do.
I don't. Yeah, what are the names you remember?
I'm trying to now.
Tiffany?
Oh, now the
Tiffany.
Yep.
Okay.
And yeah, it's okay.
I forgot the other name,
Yeah.
but it was a lot of gaslighting, and that just allowed
On both sides?
On both sides.
Okay.
But at the same time, a traumatic part is that there is one of the partners was just oblivious to the hurt and damage that she did in the relationship and never owned up to it, never take accountability for it, and just really like picked. And you can tell that Tiffany was hurt and truly just wanted to be heard, but she kept over talking her. She kept making her feel like, belittling her. And now, granted, this is just my opinion. Like,
Right.
I am
And
not.
we only getting a snapshot.
Correct. Correct.
But there was some tendencies that you see in abusive relationships, and even in that dynamic. Yes.
Right. Right. Like the, I just felt triggered watching. I feel like they should have done some more care and feeding. Netflix
It
as a
was
show.
triggering.
Yep. Correct.
Yeah, because one of the guests, so they're in this reunion, and the host will ask questions, trying to bring up some drama, right? And where are you guys at with this now? And they decide at the end of the show to get married, which you're like, what the?
Why would you?
Why would we
Why
can
would
tell
you?
right now this is trash,
But like
Yep.
you said, reality TV editing and writing. can make
right?
anything
And then
look like
also
anything.
trauma. You go back to your what feels safe, right?
Yeah.
We just
Correct.
learned that today, just now, right? And so they get married, and you're like, why? But they get married, so now we're at the reunion. It's months later, maybe, and they've got like a court order, like they've got some law
They never got
involved.
married. They got engaged.
They got engaged.
Yes.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, they never got married.
Right.
Anyways, and at some point, is it Tiffany was the one who was kind of getting bashed in the show anyways in that moment? Like ran off? Who's the one who ran off?
Tiffany ran off.
Okay. So Tiffany and other girl, can't remember her name, they're kind of going back and forth. But like you said, the other girl's like chewing her out or just like no, I didn't do that, or blah, 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 talking over her. She's like, dude, you threw a dog cage at me. Like you
Correct.
tried to harm me. And it was just so intense. Okay, sorry. It was so intense. Sorry, I just had to talk about it. It was so I had to process this. I need some validation. I was like, this is wrong, right? This is
very
crazy.
wrong.
And then she
100%.
admitted to something apparently that she lied about and falsified in the police documentations
Yep.
on television.
On television.
It was crazy. Anyways,
Very much so crazy.
Co-parenting.
co-parenting. Well, there is a kid. There is a kid involved. But no, thank you for that. Like, does co-parenting fit in a DV situation? Like how with the folks that you've supported clients, like how does parenting work?
So parenting in an abusive relationship is so tricky and such a unique situation, because when that happens, what happens most of the time, the child or the children become a ploy to make sure that to see which parent is fit, and also to gaslight the one who is being abused, and to most time the parent is being like talked about, their parenting skills is being tested, they're having to make sure at the end of the day that their kids are safe. But what still happens in every state is different. I won't say every state's the same, but when that happens, most times parents do not have a court ordered, unless they did go to court. And if they don't have a court order, they have to figure out either how to stay safe or how to let the court determine their parenting program or parenting schedule.
Plan, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, something has happened to get them to that point when it comes to abuse. And if that is disclosed, now the court has to take action.
Okay.
Just to be very clear, my wife being a domestic violence survivor, that is not
Any of the
either.
fathers.
Yeah, it's not either father.
Yeah.
Okay,
So I just want to make
picked
sure
up
that.
on it because you said 4 years, and these guys are a lot older. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I did a little math, but I do appreciate you making that clear. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So whenever there is a court order, that's usually the best route to go, because if you're in a domestic violence situation, you can't be subtle, you can't be civil. You have to ensure that you're doing everything properly to cover yourself from one end of the spectrum to the other, meaning financially, making sure that the kids feel safe. If the kids are not in a safe place and they're not in a safe environment, that's when the law, or that's when the court has to take action and make sure that the kids are. And that at the end of the day, we're putting the kids before anything. So
I hope so. See, that's the tough one. I don't know how much you want to spend on this, but like with mental abuse, like narcissism, right? I feel like that's harder to build a case around to get the court to support you.
it most definitely is. And if that partner has power, influence, or money,
Or
I
skin,
was
the
gonna
right
say
skin tone.
Financial abuse is definitely
Yeah.
right up there with that.
When I first met y'all, you mentioned financial abuse, and I was like, "What? Wait a minute."
Oh, go for it. Go
Like,
crazy.
explain that, please. But like you
Yes.
explained, I was like, "Oh, okay." So, Can you go into that a little bit more?
Yeah,
Not to cut you all off,
Oh,
but
no,
like
no, you're
financial
fine.
abuse. Please.
Financial abuse is the use of money, power, influence to keep the person that is being abused or that is in the traumatic relationship in a space that is they can't get out of.
It's control.
Abuse is power and control, and that's what money is utilized when, meaning they can't take care of themselves, they can't take care of their kids, they can't take care of daily things. So the money that they are hanging over your head or hanging over the victim's head, they are just using it as a ploy so that they won't go anywhere. And then they can continuously do the things they're doing or continuously abuse or continuously, make them feel belittled because they understand that person doesn't have anywhere to go. They're isolated from family and friends. They don't have the proper resources to get a job, or they can't get a job because they have to take care of the kids and they don't have money, and it's a cycle.
Yeah.
And it just kind of goes back to them. They're the main source of everything.
Of income.
Of
And
income.
That's how they want it.
either the aggressor is someone who is the only person working, or they're like really wealthy, right? And you're used to this. You're used to this life, and if you've been out of the workforce for a couple years,
Which they might have helped you do.
Correct.
Try to push you to do.
a lot of times, right? They kind
Yeah, I
of
got you,
foster.
girl. Don't worry about
Yeah,
it. Go
yeah.
ahead.
You don't ever have to work
You know
another
what I'm
day in
saying?
your life, girl. Big money got
We're
you.
gonna move far out where your family isn't. Sorry,
No,
But
Okay.
these things,
real
these things
sad.
usually happen because if someone's abusive, they definitely want to keep that as tight knit as possible. And so if you're around your family and friend unit that can say, "Hey," and I'm not
Something's
saying this
going
is
on.
always the case, but a lot of if this person is financially abusive, they have the means to be able to create isolation, so they can continue to hover money over your head or whatever the situation or circumstance is.
Yep.
Yeah, because I always heard that as manipulation, but when you introduce it as domestic violence, that's why I was like, it is.
It is.
I was like,
Without
oh,
ever
okay.
putting a hand on
abuse.
you.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
It's
manipulative
control
money.
and power.
Yeah.
I have a close friend who they're experiencing litigation abuse with someone who might be a narcissist. Oh yeah, so it's yeah, man. There's all kinds of bullshit. There's all kinds of bullshit that humans are performing on others. But anyways, essentially in their case, and I would not be surprised if there's some narcissism. There's some key traits there, but they'll try to take the mom back to court for any little thing.
Yeah.
What do you call?
Litigation abuse.
Yeah. So yeah, they're like, oh, you put the socks on wrong. Let's get the lawyers involved.
Exactly.
Or they always fight everything, or they might be trying to get the kid the need,
And that's
medical
draining.
needs, medical attention, things that they need to flourish medically and all those kinds of things. So they'll block it.
And why would they do that? Because that person doesn't have the resource to always be at court.
Right.
To always have the money to pay for the lawyer, the billable hours.
Right.
And they know that.
Right.
So that's a way that's like, okay, I can continually, make their life a living hell or continue my power and control
Yeah, you come
in
right
this
back to me.
situation. And you'll be either right back to me or you won't have nothing. And the main
Right.
statement that we all have heard that is like the foundation of abuse is no one will ever love you like I love you.
I think I heard that in R&B song one time.
You have
Well,
to-
that ain't love. So,
exactly.
but yeah,
R&B said that.
Yeah, I was like, it depends on the
I
context.
can love you.
Yep.
Exactly.
I don't know if that
Domestic
was
violence,
abuse, but yeah. She's just making a
I'm
case for love.
I'm like, wait a minute. We got to adjust that statement because ain't nobody going to love my wife the way I love my wife. But that doesn't come from a place of abuse. It's because every day I wake up and actively choose to love her.
And that's real love.
And that's real love.
Right.
And I'm going to make
Big black
sure that I leave no room for anyone to like weasel their way in between our relationship. So I'm going to love on her with everything I got. Ain't nobody going to come close because I've been putting in this work.
Yo,
listen,
it's
I
not
wanna
even a
make sure.
competition.
Play with me.
It's not even a competition though.
Don't play with mine, goddamn.
Yeah, I know. This conviction is just
This-
everything. I'm
It's
just loving
me and
this.
mine right here.
That's right. Don't
It's locked
forget it.
in.
It's on. It's
You're a
recorded.
little turned on right now, ain't you?
Oh, okay,
okay.
all right.
Exes and adults.
Exes and babies.
but we not
It's
exes.
exes and babies.
Yeah. All right, cool.
None of this applies to us. All rules.
It is now
Yeah,
8:30
right, exactly.
and
I-
now we're going to the exes and adults portion.
I appreciate that. Where can families go if they're experiencing this? Where can men men go if they're experiencing some kind of abuse?
Most men don't know that for the most part, as long as an organization doesn't designate they're only women oriented, they can go to advocates, domestic violence advocates, the National Domestic Violence Hotline, and the local organizations in their city, because there are ways in which men are abused, and usually with men it's emotional. Even if it is physical, the emotional part is the part that takes effect first, because let's just be for real. A woman is not going to just terribly beat up a man. It has to be, jabs here, jabs there, and him remembering that he shouldn't hit her or put hands on her, but continuously doing that because she knows he's not going to hit her back.
Breaking down his confidence.
And then breaking down his confidence. And so men emotionally take it because it's like, I'm a man, I got this, I can take this.
Right.
But when they finally either leave the relationship or they stay in the relationship, they're not confident enough to believe in that a woman's going to treat them properly. So it's a cycle.
But also, it's, when you think about domestic violence, I think we're all guilty of it, right? We tend to think about just females, and
physical.
So a lot of men, when they experience abuse, they're like, who do I turn to even talk about this? Because we live in a society where people will say, like, you a man, toughen up. What you mean?
Or a woman is allowed to
be a woman,
which is defined as
emotional,
intense, all these things, really witty, really sharp, and
so now to speak on that a little bit. So you're absolutely right. But the one thought that most men have, because I talked to homeboys who have been emotionally and physically abused, the one thing is nobody will believe you.
Nobody will believe you.
Especially because if I'm 6'2", and I'm dating a woman that's 5'5".
Yeah.
Ain't nobody going to believe that she's really just punching me because she got upset because I didn't, put the toilet seat down.
Correct.
So it's that part. So what would you suggest for like men like that? Like just go to these organizations, just plead our cases? Because I'll be honest, I was in an abusive relationship, like a physically abusive relationship, and I did try to call shelters. They didn't have the resources, or they were like had the paperwork for me.
Yeah.
And so they was like, and also they looked at me too, and I saw some biases.
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, dang. So I just get bumped in the face, right?
And this is the thing. I don't think we've shed enough light on it. This is a topic that we know exists, and organizations are now starting to put a spotlighted or either highlighted in their business programs. There's a nonprofit organization in New York City that teaches men how to see the signs of abuse in their relationship, because men don't even recognize it, and when they do, it's like too late. They're too far gone, or they're already too far hurt that they don't even want to leave the relationship. It's comfortable for them. That's all they know. So I think for us, it's about addressing it, speaking about it, talking about it, and if there are ways for us to, if I was to direct you to men to anywhere, it would be to therapists. Because therapists are also going to be a way for you to, if you can't say it out loud, they're going to listen, and then they're going to be able to take it to the next level for you as well.
And maybe give power to some of the things that you're feeling that aren't being validated anywhere else.
Correct.
Right, absolutely. Like you guys mentioned earlier, most times it's like, oh, that's just how women are. Like, that's just normal behavior for women. So that's not abuse. That's how women are.
Not healthy women.
Bro. Like, come on, dog.
Exactly.
I ain't got no marks on you, dog. She didn't hit you like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Even publicly, like sometimes there would be situations like at dinner or at coffee shop, you see women literally push, shove, throw stuff everywhere. And then everybody, it's like entertainment for people.
Yeah,
they're like, oh my God, what? Oh my God. Oh shit. I was at the club a couple of weeks ago. This woman was whopping this man's face in. And like, and he was sitting there taking it.
Because the minute he raised his hand, now he's the problem.
No, that's when everybody wants to jump in.
And she was like,
correct.
And at some point, one of her friends grabbed her, because I'm like, yo, we got to, I mean, I don't want, but someone got to, anyways.
Correct.
And so.
But just based off your reaction,
I knew it was messed up, and I was like, and she got pulled out. She never got escorted out. Her friends like, we got it. What's wrong, honey? Let's go.
Right.
Like, but like you're sitting there like, yo, but I was like, someone gonna check on this man? Like that was messed up, right? And some people kind of did. He was, I don't know what was going through his head. He sat cool, calm, collected, like
it's normal.
Yeah, I was like, that's not the first time. That's what that tells me.
Definitely not the first time.
But also like with him, look how everybody reacted around. Everybody was like, oh, what?
That's
well,
crazy.
we had a problem. Like, wait a
Somebody
second.
should help him.
Like,
No,
somebody
I
would
literally-
help him. But if he would have done that, everybody would have jumped him,
Ooh.
whooped on him, threw
Right.
glasses on him.
Instantly.
Instantly.
Because
Because
it's
you're
become
like, oh,
entertainment,
she's
like you said.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oof.
Or like the number of response. Oh, what did he do to make her
Correct,
react that
correct.
way?
Right.
Like-
I mean,
Yeah.
I knew it was messed up, but yeah,
Yeah, but
like,
I'm not blaming you. I'm just
but-
saying.
and she
overall.
looked
general.
inebriated for sure. That didn't make it okay, but I felt bad because she walked past me. I was like, oh, let me move out the way too. You, but oh, girl, you getting back in your seat?
Correct.
Whoa! Anyway, that was crazy.
So
but I've
different.
also watched men be like, I had someone who I was trying to be friends with, and then really realized that there was a lot going on in that family. But I watched them financially as well as emotionally abuse this man, and then like get the baby girl in on it, where she would be like disrespect the
Of
father,
course.
and I was just like, I can't. They asked me for a perspective on their dynamic, and I shared my perspective, and they're like, "But what about me?" And what are all the things that you would expect someone who isn't able to hold themselves accountable and all the things. But anyways, then I got gaslit at some point, and I was like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I'm
cool,
out.
we
Yeah.
done, Like,
correct.
okay, this is a lot.
There's
Like,
nothing else we need to talk about.
yeah,
I
that
think,
shit's crazy.
Thank you for sharing your story, Jeff.
Yeah,
I think
Jeff.
it's something that we truly need to talk about more. We need to
Absolutely.
understand more, and especially in the Black community, especially in the community where growing up, men were like, if you don't take care of your man, somebody else will. Or if
Toxic
if he
masculinity.
hit you, what did you do to let him hit you? Make him hit you. And if you did, you deserved it. I've heard women tell other women that, and I'm
Wow.
like,
I've heard that too. Yeah.
yeah.
Or like, you should have saw the signs,
Or you should have saw the signs, and it's your fault. And so women go into hiding, and also men. So I think it's something that we need to discuss more in the Black community. And those tough conversations have to happen because we have to unlearn these toxic behaviors, toxic habits from the way we were grown up, the way we were raised.
Right.
Yeah, we trying to be in our soft life era, so like
That's the second
it's
time I've heard.
Yo.
So this is a real thing.
Second
a
episode.
real
It's a real thing.
thing.
Okay.
It's a real thing, and so I think a lot of times,
Messy.
but we spent so much time, like if you think about, and I don't want to connect everything back to like slavery and racism and stuff like that, but
It's a powerful thing.
but it's real. Right, despite what Florida's trying to say, it's real, and like we have systematic, regardless of me being Caribbean and her being American, like we just different stops on the same boat. But there's so much systematic stuff that's been ingrained in us that's passed down generation to generation, and so a lot of the methods in which we were raised, it's out of trauma.
Right.
So the first time I read an article, and we both talked about the fact that we were raised on whoopings, and so that's was it spare the rod, spoil the child.
Yep.
We heard that till we're Black and Blue until. I understand that systematically, Black people were programmed to think that if someone misbehaves, then the appropriate way to handle that situation is a whooping, which is birthed from slavery. Which is why, and I'm making generalizations, it's the rule and not the exception. It happens, but by and large, Black parents tend to whip their children, and white parents tend to not. And that's directly connected to slavery and how our ancestors and our forefathers were disciplined for things that were deemed wrong.
Right.
And so when you find out things like that, you're like, well, I don't want to carry this on to the next generation. I don't want to, beat my kids and tie that back to slavery. So how can I operate in a different way? It doesn't mean that you get away with everything. There's still accountability and there's still guidance.
absolutely.
But I don't have to beat you to get it.
Right.
And so I think that we have to break these cycles. We have to recognize the systematic cycles that have been passed down. We have to recognize the trauma. We have to deal with it. It starts, we got to fix us.
Right.
Right.
That's hard work.
So it's hard work before you can then go to the next generation, and operate differently.
Right.
And so, that brings us to the soft life era. We don't have to live life in survival mode every single day. You don't have to beat your children into submission. You don't have to beat your spouse. It's not like be a man and take it, or like, hey woman, you deserved it because you got a good man, Savannah. Like it's not a
Shit, where'd that come Wait, is that riddle? Is that? Oh
another one of
shoot!
those
Can I
memes.
say that though?
He's a good man,
That's a good
Savannah.
man.
It came
Savannah,
from wasn't it a Tyler Perry movie?
Of course it was.
Because I don't know. Okay, let me ask this: is he actually a good man?
Right. And you.
Okay, I'm just trying to see if I can say this phrase comfortably or not. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
But
I'll go watch the movie.
But that's the point, is that like I don't have to take this, I don't have to tolerate this. I want to be, I started off this year. I like to pray before every new year, and then like ask God, like, hey, tell me what the focus is for this year. And what God told me is, this year I want you to focus on being healed, healthy, and whole. Not just in your life, but I want you to be an avenue and a conduit to those around you to be healed, healthy, and whole as well.
You're doing that right here.
And I'll do it on any platform I get, even when that platform isn't lights, camera, action, even when it's with my kids, my best friends, my wife, my parents. How can we make sure that we heal? Right? How can we make sure that we're healthy physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, financially? And how do we show up whole? And that whole doesn't mean that everything is perfect. Right. Whole means that like everything that God needs, or everything that God has created me to be, He instilled everything in me so that I can accomplish that. And I don't have to look externally to be able to walk into my purpose. Soft life.
Said. Soft life.
Bars.
All the bars. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Hey, this is plentiful.
This has been super enlightening.
And
I'm
we
like,
can go
oh
on
my
forever
God.
and ever.
Oh,
but
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Yo, that's
I got
beautiful.
one last question though. Describe your relationship in one sentence.
Oh, can I do like a song?
Yes.
What's the song?
Are you going to sing it?
I was a little bit.
Go ahead, bro.
Hey.
If you were my best friend. I don't know the rest.
Na, 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 na.
Yes.
Hey, if I was your best friend.
Yeah, they turned it into like an R&B
I
song.
know. But no, this is my best friend. So we
That's my best friend. That's my best friend.
go
Okay.
best friend, go best friend, go. Best friend forever, and just in every aspect, she has me spiritually. She has me mentally, emotionally, and physically. So there's nothing else I could ask for.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's my boo thing, man. That's my sentence. Like,
My boo started when we was. No, I'm sorry.
you were my. I feel like I'm in the studio.
Yeah,
Okay, all
hey.
right, cool. That's all good.
Don't do that.
But
That's just starting problems again.
I like, I can't. There are not enough words to adequately describe what God entrusted me with, not just with my wife, but with our kids, right? And there was a period in my life where I was like, I do not want kids. And I like, the phrase is like, we make plans and God laughs. Because now that I'm in this situation, I couldn't see myself anywhere else. And I love our kids like they were my own. I don't want to brag, but my son's top 5 favorite people, I was number 2. His dad was number 1.
Hey, where's that put you? You know what?
I'm here.
She was in the top 5. That's all I'm
Okay,
saying.
okay, all right.
Another list. This is
Further down
But-
the list. That's what being a disciplinarian gets you.
He gonna thank me later.
But I mean, like, I really took the time to build individual relationships with each child and then build that separately from my wife. So she's at a role now where she travels a lot for work. And so I work from home. So I jokingly say I'm a stay-at-home mom because
Congratulations.
Yo, I want
I
that.
still got to clock in,
Oh,
you know.
there you go. Never mind.
I
Clock
guess I-
in.
I
I
guess
still-
Not quite. Okay, you got.
Yeah.
some
No, I
steps.
still have to work.
Oh.
But I work from home.
Okay.
So
Stay
it's
at
the
home.
joke.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, listen, and there's no ego here. The minute my wife, like, this is Oprah in the making. You heard it here first. But the minute my wife hit that Oprah level, I am on my Stedman bag. All right, like I'm on my groove. I will fall back. You got it, girl. So I'm not tripping. But in all seriousness, like I love these kids. I've never had a situation. I'm just really I can't take credit for it. I've never had the kids be like, my mama. Like I was
waiting
like
for that.
on edge. Like, what am I gonna do the day that happens?
He was prepared for that.
Yeah, exactly. And it never happened. Like these are literally like my kids. I love them. I love my wife, and every day is not easy, but every single day is worth it. And like this, like we in this.
Right.
This is my family unit. I don't want to be any place else on the good days, the bad days, the ugly days. Like, you know, I'd rather have bad times with you, Lil Luther.
Okay.
This is the most singing we've had on episode. Really proud. Thank you, guys.
My wife thinks she's the singer, you know. All right.
Okay, there's some more honesty. Wait, before you change the subject, what do the children refer to as if they're like hanging out with their friends? Like, oh, who's that picking you up? You're like, oh, that's my...
So they say they call me Keshona or Shauna, but they introduce me as their stepmom, which is fine. I never got caught up on the title. I never said call me mom, call me stepmom. I didn't care because, you know, in so many aspects of our lives, we learn that titles mean nothing, right? So there are people who are biological mothers but are not present in their kids' lives, and biological fathers and all of that stuff. Right. And so I'm like, I don't care what you choose to call me as long as it's respectful. You know, and we have a genuine relationship. I care more about the connection we have than what you choose to call me.
Right. Yep. Beautiful. Any other parting words from either of you for our listeners?
Well, thank you all for the opportunity. This is
Absolutely.
amazing. This show is amazing, and I think we need more of this conversation and these hard questions in our community. And this is just a light. This is a light. So.
Absolutely, you guys
Thanks,
do
y'all.
something
Amazing.
really
Thanks for
amazing.
being a part of the light.
And like I think having a healthy space to talk about how you can make co-parenting work and talk about some of the challenges that happen, but that you can get to the other side. It can work and you can be successful. Like, where else do you have a space where people are teaching you and giving you the tools and resources and having the conversations to healthy co-parent?
Yeah.
Nowhere.
You're right.
But here. And that look like you.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
In the Black community, you know, there's a lot of stigma about baby mamas and baby daddies,
Yeah.
but
Stigma.
you could literally have high functioning relationships with people who happen to share a child, and you guys can still coexist. You can move on and have other partners. And all that means is more love for the child, as opposed to feeling like the child has to be divided.
Yep.
That's right.
So
and you
kudos
guys
to
are
you guys
example
for
of that.
doing that.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This
Thank
is
you for being here
amazing.
so we can put you here for folks to see and learn
y'all.
and see themselves.
Absolutely.
Thank y'all so
Anytime.
much.
Y'all can bring us back anytime.
Oh
you
yeah,
know?
we might have to. We might have to.
Listen.
Where
I'll
can
be
they
here for
find
that
you?
What'd
you say?
I'll be here for that episode. That's gonna be the exes and adults.
Oh my God! Hey, I'm okay with it.
No.
Oh, we got a little Patreon, a little Patreon
yeah,
content.
That is not for the regular podcast.
Yeah, we already got an episode for that. Never mind. Okay, sorry. Anyways, I digress. Where can they find you? And if you have a business side hustle, something you want to promote, share it now.
Okay. So find me on Instagram and also on TikTok as Believe in You Are Power, Believe in Your Power. And also Powerful Beginnings is on Instagram, Facebook, and powerfulbeginnings.org is the website.
Awesome.
And my Instagram is CEO State of Mind. So you heard it here first. So that CEO title's coming.
Oh, I see.
And then on, I think it's CEO State of Mind on Instagram, TikTok. I don't
much
know.
everywhere.
And then Keshona Lawrence on Facebook, if you still use that.
I don't.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if that's your thing. I'm everywhere. My wife is the cool poster. I'm the occasional poster. So she's got the really engaging content. And you know, I just pop in and let people know I'm still here.
Because you are here.
Yeah, no, I bring it to you in person. You know, on social media, you bring it everywhere. But I'm like, you're going to experience the live Keshona experience. You know what I'm saying?
And it is an experience.
It is. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you. All right. Thanks, y'all.
So done with y'all.
Thank you.
Woo!
Good stuff.
That was so